I'm just about to go and see the little premature baby. What have we got there? Oh, what a beautiful boy!
Having a baby can be one of the most magical times of a woman's life.
I am 30 weeks plus 2 days pregnant. The bump is getting very, very big.
Went for weigh-in this week. We finally crossed over above 8 pounds.
The midwives were amazing. They felt like my sisters.
It can also be a moment of great vulnerability and at times, danger.
It was frantic. People were shouting over everyone.
She just sort of snapped at me and just went, "I'm not here to help you."
The UK's maternity services are at breaking point, and the staff are broken too.
What do you want? More jobs! When do you want it? Now!
This job can be amazing, but in too many cases it actually destroys the people who are providing that service.
There are too many patients with too many complex needs, and there are not enough of us.
By following women, their babies and healthcare staff, and tracking the many thousands of conversations taking place online about maternity, our investigation reveals some of the greatest concerns for those going through the system and the human cost of not addressing them.
I remember putting her on my knee and I'm saying to her, "Not yet, please don't leave me, don't go."
Hi, Belle. Hi, baby kiddo. There's Daddy.
Hi everyone, my name's Caitlin. I am the mother to a beautiful daughter called Belle.
You're so beautiful.
I just tend to post a bit of everything. I post videos of what Belle was like before her injury, after. It's nice being able to just have somebody listen.
Like many thousands of other mums across the country, Caitlin shares her experience of going through the UK's maternity services on her social media. Her story reveals a lot about how they're struggling.
People tend to be saying the same thing, that women aren't listened to, that women aren't being respected in the maternity setting, and that the NHS is failing. Now that is a common denominator through everything that I hear.
Each one of us will go through the maternity system at least once in our lives. And anecdotally, we know there are problems. But how widespread are they? And what are the biggest concerns? To answer that question, the Sky News Data and Forensics Unit has teamed up with experts from Ipsos to analyse almost 380,000 mentions online of maternity care in the UK over the last 2 years. There are more than twice as many mainly negative posts as positive ones.
My pregnancy with Belle was complicated because I had had a previous preterm baby, but from kind of 14 weeks when I got a cervical stitch put in up until around about 28 weeks, it was relatively smooth sailing. I was just in the house and my waters randomly burst. I contacted the maternity assessment, explained what had happened. They told me to come in. I was very anxious. I'll hold my hands up to that. I could maybe come across as standoffish, but I had a lot of concerns. I was bleeding, I had a lot of pain. Honestly, it felt like I was being torn apart. I think they thought it was in my head. I think they thought that I was putting on a show.
The topic that comes up most by far in our online analysis is staff. 19% of these posts are positive.
Contact Maternity Triage. I've found this service to be amazing.
But many more are negative.
There also seem to be real issues around protecting patients' dignity.
You hear so much negative stuff in the media, and women aren't listened to, but also there's a side in which midwives aren't listened to as well.
Elizabeth, not her real name, is a midwife. We're protecting her identity because she's worried about losing her job if she speaks out. She wants women to realise there are many barriers preventing her and her colleagues from giving good care.
It's tough. It's constantly understaffed, undersupported, bound by guidelines. You're trying your best for them, and women sometimes can't see that, which understandably, they are at heightened emotion. But you are the bridge when you're being told no by the system and the ladies are being told no by you. We're taught that every family could be a litigation case or a court case. We're not taught to treat them as families anymore.
There's a lot of bunting. Last week we had the day of the midwife, and now we have the day of the nurses, so it's pretty busy in here.
Chinez Otigba oversees the delivery of thousands of babies every year at Queen's Hospital in Romford. The latest being for one of the unit's own midwives, Keely.
How are you feeling?
Yeah,
Tell me
okay.
Straightforward, no problems?
Yeah, it was all straightforward, yeah.
But not all births are straightforward like this one, and there are days when things don't go to plan.
Good luck, now the work begins, eh?
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
A lot of us will go home and reflect on what has happened that day, and sometimes you don't feel very proud of what you did that day. Particularly when a baby's lost or a mother's harmed, you think, well, oh my goodness, if only I hadn't come into work with the flu, if only I hadn't taken on that extra scan, things like that. And they really, really trouble you and think, could I have done something differently? And it's because there are too many patients with too many complex needs, and there are not enough of us.
More complex births require more time and care, and despite the number of midwives in the service increasing in the last 10 years, staff we've spoken to say that many of them are in administrative roles rather than looking after patients.
I was just lying in bed this morning thinking about all of this stuff that women go through that is so brushed under the rug, and like it's just seen as normal.
Megan fell pregnant with her first child in 2022. The whole 9 months were pretty easy, and she went into childbirth blissfully unaware of what was to come.
I actually started labour completely naturally. I immediately knew it was going to be a tough day because it was completely packed. My waters completely went like a movie, slosh all over the floor in front of everyone else. I was asking for pain medication immediately, but unfortunately because I wasn't on the labour ward, they couldn't administer anything like gas and air. So I was just labouring on the floor in the antenatal clinic. I can still remember the feeling of his head reaching, like crowning, and I just got this huge, like my body did it for me, urge to just push, and I did, and I can remember the feeling of it actually ripping open and screaming. And so I was wheeled out, still half stitched, completely naked from the waist down, and wheeled to theatre where normal people are kind of walking through. So that was very humiliating. It makes me shudder, like thinking about it. Sometimes when I remember the feeling, I will like a physical shudder comes over my body. It was one of the main reasons behind my diagnosis of PTSD. I wish I'd had my mum there, is like one of my biggest regrets. Oh God, sorry. I think because my mum was like, she's the only person who would she's the only person who like would advocate for me, I think. Someone to literally just say, are you okay? Like, that was a lot, wasn't it?
Postnatal depression is a very common topic in online conversations about maternal mental health. 28% of the more than 8,000 posts we analysed about mental health services are positive, with some praising the support they received.
We were supported by the midwife, health visitor, GP and mental health services, and I honestly don't know where we would be without that help.
But 42% are negative.
We lived next to a train line, and I was lying awake one night with my son who still wasn't sleeping properly, like through the night, and I remember thinking, that would just be easier, like just to walk up to that train line and just get rid of myself. And it was the next morning where I said that to my husband, and he was like, we need to talk to someone.
The psychological toll of working as a midwife in today's NHS really cannot be underestimated, and it's really hard to convey the enormity of that toll.
Leah Hazard says that when she became a midwife more than a decade ago, she expected to be doing it until retirement, but she no longer thinks she'll last that long.
Midwives have consistently excessively high rates of anxiety, depression, stress-related illnesses, burnout, even suicidal ideation. And some of us leave the profession for those reasons, and some of us stay in because we have no other option. This job can be amazing, but in too many cases, it actually destroys the people who are providing that service.
Student midwives united will never be defeated. Student midwives united will never be defeated.
Do not stop, because your voices are being heard.
Sky News analysis shows that 20 years ago, midwives were one of the least likely types of NHS staff to leave their jobs. Now, they're among the most likely to leave. But there are hardly any vacancies for newly qualified midwives.
What do we want? More jobs! When do we want it? Now!
People's birthing conditions are also midwives' working conditions. If my workplace is hectic, under-resourced, psychologically unsafe, stressed, then of course your birthing conditions are also going to feel stressed, unsafe, tense.
During her labour, Caitlin did feel unsafe. Her waters broke early, meaning her daughter Belle was born prematurely.
The epidural wasn't working, and I remember getting very upset. Like, really, the pain was excruciating. The next thing I kind of remember is opening my eyes and somebody tapping at me on the side of the face and kind of getting me to talk to them. And then next thing I know, buzzer's being pulled and loads of people are round about me, and I'm being taken to theatre. Clinton wasn't told that his daughter was born. He didn't know that I was alive or what was happening to me.
Once everything went wrong, I was like, okay, what's happened now? Like, what do you mean she's crashing? I sat in that room for, say, about 5-6 hours or something. And I think, oh, please God, just let them be okay and bring them back to me and just help them through here. Like, I'm not a very religious guy, and that's just what went through my head, and I was like, please just help them.
When we found out that we were expecting, we were over the moon. It was a planned pregnancy. It was our first pregnancy. We were so excited, and we were really looking forward to meeting him.
In January 2022, Sarah was preparing to become a mum for the first time.
I knew that labour had begun, and I voiced this to the midwife that was looking after me, and I just wasn't believed. So I felt quite alone. There was the gas and air that was in my cubicle, so I had to use that. I had no alternative because I had asked for some stronger pain relief and I was ignored. However, the midwife came back and shouted at me and said, "What are you doing using that? You cannot use that," and took it away from me. I voiced to her again, "But I'm in pain and I believe that I've gone into labour." She said to me, "Well, you're not in labour because I haven't established that you're in labour."
Sarah knew her care was potentially unsafe because she's a GP.
So I said to her, "I'm really concerned about what's going on here. I told you my waters have broken. I'm a doctor. I'm really worried." And then everything just changed. She looked so shocked. And she said, "I didn't know you were a doctor." What's very worrying is you can be treated in accordance with how you're perceived instead of being treated in accordance to your clinical need.
The topic people are most negative about online is how they feel their treatment was affected by their class or their race. 71% of posts about this are negative.
Black women in the UK face greater risks in maternity and neonatal care.
This points to serious systemic bias within maternity services.
There were racial undertones in the way that the midwife communicated to me. So for example, when I voiced that I was in pain, she said to me, "Are you sure you're not just high?" So I was stunned. High? What would make her think I was high? High on what? And then when you fast forward it to her knowing my profession and panicking and examining me, she was afraid because she shouted out, "The head is out. His head is out." So let that sink in. My son's head was out and I was nowhere near the labour ward.
But women's maternity experiences don't end after the baby arrives. More than 4,500 posts in our dataset are about the aftercare. Nearly a third of these posts are neutral in nature, talking logistics or procedures, but more than half are negative. After Rachel's baby was born prematurely, they both spent time in the hospital. Early one morning, while her husband was asleep on the floor of her bay, Rachel decided to ask the midwife if she could have a shower.
So I pressed the buzzer, she came over, and I was speaking in hushed tones because it was so early and it was still dark. And I just went like, am I allowed to have a shower? And she sort of looked at me and I went like, I don't know if I'm allowed. Like, and she went, why? And I went, I've had a C-section and I've got all the like packing, the wound, like dressing. And I don't know if I'm allowed to have a shower. And she went, yeah, you can. I don't even know why. She just sort of snapped at me and just went, I'm not here to help you. And I remember her pointing, I'm not here to help you. There are people more sick than you on this ward, people more poorly. You need to learn to do things for yourself. You can get up and do this and do it. I don't need to help you. And if you need help, get him up off the floor. And I was just shocked. Just watching TV and slightly triggered, an advert came on for the NHS and it just said NHS, there for everyone. Bunch of liars, you're full of crap. Like, you're not there for everybody. Like, the crap I've had to put up with. Worst tagline ever. So I've got like loads of his first, this was actually his very first vest.
Rachel's baby was in the neonatal intensive care unit.
This is a love heart that I used to put down my top. And then I'd put it next to him while he slept so he could always smell me. It was just a small way of being like, leaving a part of us behind.
She says the high dependency unit was great, but his care quickly deteriorated when he was moved to the nursery ward.
Leaving at night was nightmare. You never knew what you were walking back into in the morning. We walked in and he'd be lying in pools of sick. And we had excuses such as, well, how do you expect us to see him? He's in an incubator. Well, I expect you to go over and monitor and observe my child. Like, is that too much to ask? ECG cables, they'd be disconnected. The alarms would all be turned off. And it was like, oh yeah, but they're annoying. They're going off all the time. That NICU is the nursery. I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy. I was bullied as a child and it was that feeling. When I walked in, it was that same pit of your stomach feeling. You'd walk in just like tense, ready for it. Like, and the moment I would see him, I'd just breathe a sigh of relief. Like, still here, still okay.
In a survey of new mothers in England last year, 73% said they were always treated with kindness by staff. Elizabeth believes that even one woman who doesn't feel that way, though, is one too many.
Every woman should feel like they're being supported, should feel like they are being cared for, and I feel like if 99.9% of midwives knew the effect that they were having on that individual, they would be heartbroken.
She needs a accretor scan at around 32 weeks, please.
I think people should recognise that we're all human. You know, we get tired, we have problems at home. It's not an excuse to be rude or be awful. If we do come up short, they should tell us in a very nice way, Doctor, I'm really not happy how you're speaking to me. Because sometimes we're not even aware. And most sensible colleagues say, I'm really sorry, I didn't want to upset you. I'm afraid I X, Y, Z. I think we just need to look after each other, really.
Mama.
When Sarah fell pregnant with her second child, she decided to do things on her terms and chose a home birth.
My second birth with my daughter Victoria was a healing experience. The midwives were excellent. They understood the pain that I had experienced first time round with my son, and they went above and beyond. Yeah, good girl. And I just remember feeling really loved, safe, supported. It was just such a contrast from what I'd experienced before. It was really good.
Megan was determined to have more control in her second pregnancy too. On April the 22nd, she had a planned caesarean and welcomed baby Nora into the world. Caitlin won't have the chance of carrying another baby. She had to have a hysterectomy after giving birth to Belle. After arriving prematurely, Belle had to stay in hospital. Around 400 babies are admitted to NICU every day. Most of the time, their stories end well.
Hi Mummy and Daddy. Today I made my entrance into the world weighing 4 pounds and 7 ounces. I have a special little tube to help me breathe right now as I grow stronger. But do not worry, the doctors and nurses are taking good care of me. How ironic's that? I got a phone call and those words will never leave me. It was the nurse saying, Caitlin, Belle's collapsed. We're taking her to intensive care. You need to come to the hospital. And then we rushed straight up to the hospital. She had been on the ventilator and the tube was pushing on Belle's lip. And the nurse that was looking after Belle was complaining about how it was pushing onto Belle's lip. Belle had been on the ventilator for a little while, a couple of hours. Her oxygen was stable, her heart rate was stable, the ventilator was breathing for her body was being given time to rest. We were advised not to touch Belle, just to leave her alone, because we didn't want to cause any stress on her that could tip her over the edge. Belle had, the only way I can describe it as a kind of piece of tube that goes across her mouth, and then a tube that goes into her windpipe, and that's where the ventilator connects onto. The nurse then decided to put her hands on Belle. As she's put her hands on Belle, the tubes moved, the tubes became dislodged. Instead of the tube coming out of Belle's windpipe, the tubes went down Belle's windpipe, her right lung has been collapsed, and her heart has stopped, and she's went into full cardiac arrest.
Medical staff started performing CPR.
It was frantic. People were shouting over everyone. There was a paediatric crash call placed and you expect everyone to come. There was basically no one. They had to phone a second consultant in that was 40 minutes away. It was a mess. And yeah, they got my baby back, but my baby had been down for 15 minutes. Belle was nowhere near the baby that she was post-arrest. You know, she didn't really open her eyes, she didn't cry, she didn't move a lot, she just didn't do much. When we got her home, again, we didn't know how long she was going to live for, so it was very much each day as a blessing. The day before Belle died, the palliative care nurse was in the house and she told us that Belle's tummy had stopped working and she felt that Belle was going on to the final stages of life. That morning before she died, I remember putting her on my knee and I'm saying to her, not yet, please don't leave me, don't go. And I remember just looking at her and saying, no, you cannot leave me, like, not yet, you've not been here long enough, we've not done stuff together.
I just took her, I was trying to put her against my chest and I was patting her on the back and I was like, okay Belle, what's happening? You're okay. You can stay with us or you can go, it's up to you. But we would like you to stay with us.
We have entrusted Belle into God's merciful keeping. We now commit her body to the ground, earth to earth, ashes to ashes, dust to dust.
Online, people are devastated by stories like Caitlin's and Clinton's. And our analysis shows that accountability is one area that people think can drive change. More than 5,000 posts in our dataset discuss accountability, or the lack of it.
There was no apology or accountability from the people who ignored us.
The whole experience was deeply traumatic.
We're not saying people don't make mistakes, like people do, but if you make a mistake, own up to it and
learn from it
and be better.
Belle deserves better. Having somebody admit something automatically takes a little bit of that pressure away, and that's what we deserve, and that's what we have yet to have, and it's not okay. It's not okay, and I'll never stop until they do admit what they've done, because my baby does not deserve to be in there.
10 months after Belle's birth, Caitlin and Clinton received her post-mortem. It confirms that Belle died due to a brain injury.
10 little princesses going to the ball, trotting on their ponies past the castle wall, already looking forward to their very special day. 10 little princesses all shout yay. That was one of the things we could do, was read to her, and we would always read to her, and we still read to her, because I just hope that there's somewhere and she's listening, and she knows that just because she's gone doesn't mean she's ever forgotten. One little princess makes a special call. She rings her fairy godmum on her mobile crystal ball, and it just tries to keep us a little bit close, even though we're so far apart. Are they feeling happy as they dance the night away? 10 little princesses all shout yay.